What's up, y'all? We got It Wasn't Supposed to End Like This by Jimmy High Roller. Another video. Let's go. Easiest road ever. Bro, Celtics up 3-0. I think they're playing right now as I'm recording this. So, hey, we will see. Mavs aren't even back.
Can you say something nice about the Celtics?
Absolutely not.
Celtics out.
Just go home, get the ammo ready, get the bazooka, get the 50 cal ready.
It's the NBA Finals, and you know what that means. A new champion will be crowned. Legacies will be cemented. The torch passed from one team to another, and some of the most scorching hot takes you've ever laid eyes on. Today, we're going to take a look at some of these takes. NBA
No
Finals
kidding,
edition.
there's been-
The good,
hot takes?
the
We're doing
bad,
hot takes? Oh,
and
here
the
we go.
downright horrific.
Here we go.
He will
Hot
win
takes.
the best offensive backcourt in the history of the NBA in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Best offensive back.
Today's video is sponsored by Factor 75.
Thank you. Thank you. Y'all, you gotta sing it with me. Thank you. 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 Yeah. Thank you. But we are skipping this. We are skipping.
So far, the 2024 NBA Finals have been a bit one-sided. And with my rotten team on vacation for the last 2 months, I unfortunately have no dog in this race.
Trailblazers?
Instead, I cope by watching other fans viciously duke it out while their team fights for NBA supremacy. And almost as entertaining as the finals itself are some of the takes and opinions that emerge from said duking. And here are some of the more interesting ones
Alright,
I
let's
came
lock in,
across.
let's lock in,
Now,
let's lock
our
in.
first take comes from a fan that says that if the Celtics win the finals, Luka Doncic should still be considered for the finals MVP.
It goes to the winner. And the other team has Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And Porzingis. Well, Porzingis has been hurt. He played in one game, but okay. The other team has Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Come on now.
Now, my friend, I know you're in a tough position. Losing in the finals is not an easy thing to go through. I mean, being a Blazers fan, I personally wouldn't know the feeling, but I assume it's got to be painful. But
Is
I
he really
do
a
know where
Blazers
you're
fan?
coming from, because LeBron's my favorite player, and
Interesting.
I had to watch this. The 2015 Finals. If anyone tells you basketball is a 5-on-5 sport, they're lying. Because I had to watch this man get jumped 5v1 versus one of the greatest teams in modern times. With Timofey Mozgov and J.R. Smith by his side, LeBron dragged this series to 6 games while averaging 36 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists in the series. And while
Those are
watching
some
Matthew
crazy numbers.
Dellavedova nearly go into cardiac arrest trying to chase Stephen Curry around for 40 minutes,
I remember
many
that.
fans asked the
Dellavedova,
question,
couldn't.
even if
He
the
was
Cavs
like
lose
struggling
this
to
series,
breathe trying
should
to guard
LeBron
Curry.
still
I heard.
receive Finals MVP? He's clearly the best player on the floor. The answer was no. And it will always be no.
Goes to the
Instead,
winner, bro.
the award went to the man who was guarding LeBron. To give some perspective on how LeBron nearly single-handedly willed the Cavs to a championship in 2015, here's a breakdown of how much he was contributing to his team in that final series. By himself, LeBron accounted for 38% of the Cavaliers' points, 56% of their
crazy.
assists, 28% of their rebounds,
He literally
60%
carried
of
the
the
team on his
total
back.
points generated throughout the series,
literally
and was
carried
able
the
to
team on
win
his
2
back.
games. So far in the 2024 Finals, Luka single-handedly makes up for 33% of the Mavericks' points, 40% of their assists, 24% of their rebounds, and
yet
48%
LeBron
of
didn't
the
win
total points
Finals
generated
MVP
by the
because
team. It doesn't matter how well a player plays in the finals. You have to win it to even be considered
gotta
for the
win it,
finals
bro.
MVP.
You gotta win
The
it.
award is for the best player on the winning team,
You
not
gotta
just
win
the
it.
best player in the series. And if LeBron's performance in the 2015 finals didn't warrant a finals MVP despite the loss, I'm not sure if anything ever will. Now here's a take for all the Celtics fans
Yeah,
out there.
that's
This
true.
fan says that a championship for Boston this season would make Jason Tatum better than Paul Pierce. Now, let me begin by saying Paul Pierce has become one of the most underrated stars of the past.
That's
His
fact.
resume doesn't quite stack up to some of his peers of the 2000s, but Pierce was a really good player and a cornerstone to the Celtics franchise for 15 years. Some moments and opinions he's had over the last few years have kind of skewed the public's perception on him, but that doesn't change how awesome he was as a player. But with that being said, as an individual player, Jason Tatum is already better than Paul Pierce was. Tatum has a more well-rounded game. He's a much better playmaker, he's more versatile, and where Pierce really shined with his scoring and shooting ability, Tatum does even that at about the same rate and caliber. Keep in mind, Pierce did play in the slowest era in NBA history, so his numbers don't quite do him justice. Adjusted for the pace of today's NBA, his numbers would look something like this. Really similar to what we've seen from Tatum throughout his career. But overall, Tatum has already peaked higher than Pierce did. He is a far better defensive player than Pierce was, and he's more versatile on both ends of the floor. Tatum already has 10 times the MVP shares Pierce did in his 19-year career. Individually, Tatum has been good enough for long enough to say that he has a bigger impact on a game-to-game basis
it was
than
towards
Pierce
the end
did.
of his
At
career,
the
but
moment, you can
I
still
gotta
make
change
an
the medium
argument
when I
for
was
Pierce
younger.
being the better player throughout his
I
career,
was a
but if the
lifer,
Celtics
but I
win a
got to
ring
meet
this
him.
year, and especially if Jason
was, like,
Tatum
close
wins
to
the Finals
retirement,
MVP,
though. He was,
then
like-
that argument no longer
he was, like, on his
exists.
last
But even
leg.
without those accolades on his resume, I agree with this take.
But it was
Jason
cool.
Tatum is better than Paul Pierce was, and a ring this season would cement it. Now, this next take came
Tatum's
live
a
on
dog.
air
Tatum's
during
a
the
great
Western
dog.
Conference Finals,
He's
and
tough.
fans are interpreting it in a few different ways. In the midst of going up 3-0 on the Timberwolves, Stan Van Gundy said that Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are arguably the best offensive backcourt in the history of the NBA.
They have two guys that are pretty electrifying as well. Yeah, and
I'd say so.
defense is
I'm not saying they are the best,
challenged,
but they're
trying to
definitely
slow
up
them
there.
down.
I'm trying to think who
Arguably,
else.
the best offensive backcourt in the history of the NBA in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. You say history.
Now, Luka and Kyrie have only played about 70 games together, and this is their first postseason
Let me
playing
see,
together,
who are
and
we-
they haven't really
who else?
accomplished much in the grand scheme of things, and about a million other reasons why this sounds crazy at first. But Stan wasn't implying anything about success or accomplishments, just simply as an offensive duo.
I'm just
Luka and
thinking about
Kyrie
the
might
talent,
be the best
yeah.
backcourt we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And if we're just talking
I'm glad that he's mentioning that because I'm thinking like talent wise. I'm not thinking about what they accomplished. I'm thinking just like as individual talents, those two in the backcourt. I'm thinking individual talents. They might be the best. Now when we talk about like what they've accomplished, that's a whole nother thing. They haven't gotten there yet. But when we're talking about individual talents,
about offensive
might
ability,
be.
then there really aren't many backcourts that stack up
Offensive
against this one.
ability, yeah.
That short list may include 2018 Harden and Chris Paul, 2021 Harden and Kyrie. If we
Yeah.
consider Luka to be a guard, then surely LeBron and Kyrie in 2017 would be considered a backcourt duo as well. Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker were pretty damn good. This man might be onto something with his choice of the best backcourt of all time. And of course, the two elephants in the room, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
For the sake of this argument,
Gotta
if we
mention
ignore the accomplishments and the time these duos played together and just approach this from the aspect of offensive ability and production, then Luka and Kyrie are actually in the conversation for the best offensive backcourt in NBA history.
It depends on
Taking
how
the
you
best
look at it.
versions of each
It
of these
really
backcourts throughout the years and looking at some of their numbers like points per game, total
really
points
does.
generated per game, this statistic
how
factors
many
in
years have they
assists
been
to their
together
total
now?
offensive output, shooting efficiency,
Their
and their
first,
offensive
second?
impact through
can't
offensive
remember,
estimated
honestly.
plus minus,
These
then it's
NBA
pretty tough to
seasons are long.
choose just one backcourt out of these five. Luka and Kyrie are the most productive, and they're just about as impactful offensively as these other backcourts. But once you factor in the shot making, scoring versatility, gravity, and all the little things that make a player special offensively that the numbers might not account for, then you could definitely make an argument that Luka and Kyrie are the most offensively talented backcourt in NBA history. Now, as to how good they are, well then if we can't use accolades accolades and accomplishments, and this is just an eye test kind of thing, then that's pretty subjective. Steph and Klay were good enough to win 4 titles together, but I guess you could say that as a backcourt, they weren't as good at basketball as the combination of Luka and Kyrie. Harden and Kyrie were really good at basketball, but they didn't really play together all that often. And it feels a bit wrong to not at least consider that within this discussion. Once you start to factor in what these backcourts actually did together, this entire discussion changes very quickly. But in terms of exactly what Stan Van Gundy was referring to, offensive excellence, then Luka and Kyrie are, in fact, arguably one of the best backcourts the game has ever seen. Our next take is one of the more unhinged takes I've seen recently. Let's not sugarcoat it. Jason Tatum has underperformed a bit over the last couple weeks. And coming off the heels of a Jaylen Brown Conference Finals MVP, followed up by a lackluster start in the finals, Tatum's superstar label has been put into question. The peak of Jason Tatum propaganda? This right here. Fans claiming that Jason Tatum...
Hold up. What? Tatum isn't a superstar. He's an elite role player on a great team. What? Wasn't he in like the MVP voting this year? Wasn't he in like the MVP conversation this year? Wasn't Tatum in the MVP conversation? Come on now. Bro, it's crazy how quick people will switch on somebody. Like, it's crazy.
An elite role player. The LeBron James of Tobias Harris's, if you will. And this take is missing so much context that I almost want to start rooting for the Celtics purely out of spite. Since the start of the conference finals, which is when this discourse really started to gain traction, Tatum has been averaging 26 points, 7 assists, and 10 rebounds a game on 52% true shooting while winning all 6 games. Those are all NBA numbers in the playoffs, and people are calling him a role player. In fact, there have only been 7 players in the history of the NBA to make it past the first round while averaging these numbers in a playoff run. Oscar Robertson, Larry Bird, LeBron, Giannis, Jokic, Luka, and Jason Tatum. A really, really good group of elite role players. Now, I will be the first to say that Tatum has drifted into unwarranted territory over the last year or two, with some fans trying to jam him into the top 5 players in the NBA discussion when he isn't. But even when Tatum has a subpar stretch of games, or doesn't fit the typical mold of high-volume, ultra-bucket-getting superstar that we like to see, he is still one of the best players on the planet. Calling him an elite role player is hyperbole. I get that. But the less brain-rot version of this argument is that Jason Tatum isn't a star in this league. And this is 100% objectively wrong. There is no metric, or game, or series, or play that you could use to make this argument. At times, I too am not a big fan of the Celtics. This, however, does not send me into psychosis claiming one of the best players in the world is a role player. This take is abysmal. But let me know what y'all think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're at it, share your hottest take. The hotter the better.
He's up there.
Hope you all enjoy it.
He's
and as
up
always,
there.
Until next time.
With the best players in the league. Not to mention that he's on the best team in the Celtics. Hey, but let me know what you guys thought about this video. This is your fault, Jimmy. Year after year, you predict the Celtics will win a championship, and year after year they choke. Oh, man. Hey, let me know what you guys thought. Jason Tatum is the LeBron James of Tobias Harris. Oh my gosh. Poor man's Brandon Ingram. Bro, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. Mavs in 10, it's still winnable. Bro, these comments are wild. Hey, let me know what you guys thought, and I'll catch you on the next one.